Thank you.
The next call is a split call. Materia Ture, 5 minutes.
Thank you very much, Mr Speaker. I just want to address two issues in this bill. The first is the intention to increase the age to 18 years, and the Green Party supports that provision. The second is the provisions which say will embed the views of children in the process. And they're quite nice words, but of course the devil is always in the detail with these things, and in this case there's just insufficient detail to prove that that would actually be the case. It's easier to say, it's much, much harder to do. So it's certainly good to increase the age to 18 because in theory it should give the children in state care more stability and more security at that point in their life. And anybody who's been the parent of an 18-year-old well knows how much care and support that they need, even well after that. The child's views, sir, are very important when it comes to SIFS care. These children are often much older than their years would suggest, and they need and deserve a much greater say over what is happening with their life. They need to be able to talk about the things that are happening to them, particularly if they're in foster care or in other agencies, because of course we know the disasters that can happen when children are ignored and don't have an opportunity to be heard about what matters most. So I would just note that neither of the provisions in the bill really provide that certainty for the Greens in terms of support. And what really concerns me, sir, is a 2015 Office Children's Commissioner report that showed that in 2014, 1,000 SIFS children went missing. So there were 1,700 children came off SIFS books. Some of them aged out at 17, some of them went into foster home, but of that 1,700, over 1,000 came off SIFS books, and SIFS had no way of reporting what happened to those kids. Those kids went missing from SIFS. Now, we can see some of the results of that actually, because as agencies that we've all dealt with know, have been working with young people who are homeless, a very large proportion of homeless young people are those who are technically in state care. And they are away from state care, they have escaped from their foster homes, they have left SIFS care because that care is inadequate to meet their needs. But those children, those young people, have no means to tell SIFS what is going on for them, to be safe in disclosing information, have no means to have any control over the living environment that they need to be well and safe and secure. So they just hightail it out of their homes. And not only that, SIFS does not know where they are. SIFS cannot report on the whereabouts. In the 2014 year, could not report on the whereabouts of over 1,000 children in their care. So any changes in legislation that are going to change the way SIFS works has got to address the reality for these kids. And what is most important, at the core of that, is that those kids have the right to have a say about what's going on for them. None of us can know, unless you've been in state care, what it is like to be in state care. And as we know, this government has ignored the views of thousands of adults who have been in state care and are now in the position to be able to tell us what was going on for them. What about the kids who are in state care now? The ones who are missing? The ones who are homeless? The ones who are living in parks or are shacked up with adults because it's the only way they can get some sense of stability? The ones who are in care at the moment and who are unsafe? How are they, thank you Mr Speaker, how are they given any security or any certainty through this legislation that they can talk about what's happening to them and not only have their views heard but respected, and that action will be taken in their favour? This bill doesn't do it. And if this bill doesn't do that, what's the point? Because all that this bill is doing is actually maintaining the status quo, which is that SIFS care, as much as the people, the social workers, love those kids and want to care for them, simply isn't a system that can support these children. And none of the changes proposed by government can guarantee that those kids in state care are going to get the support that they need. It's pretty obvious in the provisions of this bill, which is why we're not supporting it. Thank you, Mr Speaker.